Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have another pen here for review, and this is a pen that was actually given to me from Den at Den's Custom Pens, and I want to thank Den for this. He gave me an option to choose a pen for all of the support and the reviews that I've given him over the last couple of years. So I want to thank Den for allowing me to choose a pen. So um, what I'll do is I'll unbox this pen. So the night before the London Pen Show in the spring 2022 pen show, we were sitting in the bar, and Den and his wife brought out some pens and said, I can go and choose a pen of my liking from one of his pocket pens. And this is the pen. It was a very hard decision because he had some really nice colours. These colours are actually made, this rod material is made by Den himself. So he pours these own colours. He had some greens, he had some blue pens, he had some, I think, a darker red one as well. But I typically like this one a little bit more, and I like this because I'll show you in a moment, is that when I open the pen up. So interestingly enough, you do get a little bit of threads here on the tip of the cap. This is a pocket pen, and I don't know if you can see this here, but there's an air bubble in here. This pen is eyedroppered, so I have ink already in here. And then there's also some threads here on the inside of that body there. And what happens is you unscrew the cap and you then screw it into the body. And I really like that. That is a really nice design there. So you end up basically having the threads to the cap up here, and you have the whole of the body to cap transition is quite, I want to say quite seamless. It's not perfectly seamless, but it is. It's not sharp in any way, and there's a little bit, you can see that ink sloshing around there in that body. So this is an eyedropper. It's not a cartridge converter. You might just be able to get a cartridge converter in there. I haven't tried it yet. Now this one does have the pens that Den had at the London Pen Show all have ebonite sections. He's actually going to be doing resin sections as well, but on this particular one it is an ebonite section. The nibs that Den uses are Bock nibs, so this is a Bock steel nib, and you can see there that that is quite wet in terms of nib. So that is an interesting, it's a number 5 Bock nib, not a number 6 size. But you can see in the size of my hands, this is actually quite a nice length pen. Now, I don't have to post that cap, so I can put that to one side and I can just use it like this if I wanted to. It's a little bit on the short side for me. I think, honestly, I much prefer posting that cap. Now, obviously, you can't post it this way. You have to screw it in that way. But I do like this design. I think it's an interesting design. And I mentioned there's something that I like about this, is that when I actually put this body together like this with the cap, it actually, you see the colors extend into that cap area. So I do like that a lot. So it's got a nice transition there, I think. Now, one thing I have mentioned to Den is that we probably do need to silicone grease the threads here, because ink will eventually make their way around that thread, because it is an eyedropper pen. So there is a little bit of inky residue there. I typically don't take eyedroppers out with me. I typically only use them at home, just in case they do leak, because there's a lot of ink there. So I probably will actually, when I go to change this ink, I will probably put a different color ink in here, and I'll probably also silicone grease the threads from the section here into the body, just to try and stop some ink moving their way around threads. But for me though, this is a nice size pen. It's a good pen, and I'm not one that normally goes for a number 5 size nib. However, I have to say that nib actually looks quite good in terms of size. It's not quite as large as a number 6, but it is still pretty good. And as I mentioned, Den actually pours all of these resins himself, so this is a really nice material. Den's getting pretty good at actually pouring these resins, so I'm very interested to see what other resins he has coming out, because to get this amount of color in a resin is quite a lot of work. So I have to say I am liking that a lot. So as you can see there, this is a pen that you probably would want to post the cap on a lot more than probably a lot less. So, but that does make it a pocket pen. So when you unscrew the cap there and put it back into its normal closed state, it is quite a small pen that you can just stick in your pocket without any issues there. So I think with that, let's do a size check, we'll do a weight check, we'll do a pen comparison, and then we'll do a writing sample. So the full length of the pen, we are looking at 120 millimeters in length. The length of the cap is 60 millimeters, so that is actually half the length of the pen. And if we look at the length of the body there, to the tip of the nib or tip of the tines, we're looking about 110 millimeters in length. So that is a short pen for sure. Now, in terms of ink capacity, I think Den said that it held about 2 or 3 milliliters of ink. I've not actually tested how much ink that will hold, but you can see that is a lot of ink sloshing around in that body there. So I do actually believe him on that. I will probably take a look at some point at how much ink that holds for sure. I think let's do a weight check. Now, the full weight of the pen inked up, we are looking at just around 19 grams in weight. The weight of the cap there, we're looking at just under 6 grams in weight. And then the weight of the body, we're looking at about 12.5 grams in weight. So this is quite a nice sized and weighted pen. It's not too light, but it's also not going to be too heavy as well. So I do like this pen a lot. I've not normally typically been into pocket pens because I keep pens in my pen cases more rather than pockets. But I can definitely see myself actually chucking this in my pocket once I've greased those threads. And then, yes, I think I can definitely see myself doing that a lot more. So I think with that, let's do a comparison with other pens. So from left to right, we have a TWSBI VAC 700R Iris, we have a Benu Scepter, we have a Santini Italia, and this is the Libra in the Ambra. We have a Sailor King pen, and this is the Pro Gear in the Lucky Charm. We have a Den's pens, and this is the Fafnir, and this is the Pocket Pen. We have a Scribo Feel in the Verde Prato. We have a Visconti Homo Sapiens London Fog. We have a London Pens Company, and this is the Christopher 14 in the Conway Stewart Honey Noir. We have a Montegrappa Extra 1930 Shiny Lines Dove, and we have a Parker Duofoil Prestige Blue Chevron. So I think let's go into a writing sample. So I am going to post the cap like I did earlier, just to make it a little bit better in terms of writing angle. So this is the Den's pens, and it is, I'm going to get the spelling right on this because It's not something I'm used to. It's the Fafnir, which Fafnir, as I understand it from Den, basically means dwarf. So it's the dwarf pen or pocket pen. So I think that's actually a very, very good model name for this. Now, the nib in here is a medium, and it's a Bock steel nib. Now, the ink in here today, I got a new ink recently. I bought a couple of bottles of it because I like a mango coloured ink, and I thought that that would go nice in this sort of almost like mango, yellowy, banana-y coloured pen, tropical Hawaiian pen. So the link in here is Lamy, and it is mango. And I have to say that I am liking that colour ink quite a lot. It goes on a little bit lighter, and then it dries a little bit darker. A little bit like an iron gold ink, but it's not iron gold. Now, in terms of line variation, we're definitely seeing about a medium Bock line there. Maybe even a fine. Yeah, I'd say probably a medium. If I press it a little bit harder, yeah, I can definitely get more wider medium out of that nib. If I do the figure of eights, you can see there. And then if I continue the vertical lines, there's no hard starts or skips. So this nib is writing pretty good out of the box. And we'll do a wetness test. Now, this is a dry ink. Typically, yellowy and orange inks tend to be a little bit drier. So I am expecting that from this nib. So it's not going to be a fire hose nib. If I put a purple in there, or maybe a blue, it might become a little bit more wetter. But that in itself is still quite a wet nib, and you can still see here these vertical lines. They're still, at least I can see them. They're still trying to dry. So what do I like? What do I not like about this pen? Well, I like that it's an interesting design. I like that it's a pocket pen as well. I've not typically been into pocket pens, but this might actually get me into pocket pens a little bit more. The threads are a little bit strange here on the cap. I do have a worry that maybe those threads might become damaged at some point, but there isn't going to really be any, I think, easier way to screw this onto the back of the pen, because you're going to need threads out either way, and you've got threads on the inside there to match up with these threads here. So I think with the way that the pen is designed, you're not going to get away from having threads. Could there be another way of doing this? I'm not so sure. I think the other way really is to taper the edge of the end of the body here, but then it doesn't become as cylindrical, and you just post the cap on like a lot of caps. I kind of like the idea. I have also mentioned to Den that I kind of want to have a hole in here and put a thread through it so I can hang it on a chain or a necklace, but then that would also create issues with the threads. So that isn't an option here. But I don't know, maybe there's a way of protecting these threads, of having a screw-on cap, just so that you don't grind these, say, against any metal zippers or anything like that. But I do like the design of this pen. I think that's maybe the only concern I would have on this. I like the pen a lot. I like the size. I like the shape. I typically like cylindrical pens, and I like how the cap butts up very nicely against the end of the body here, and it's an eyedropper as well. So I do like everything about this pen, and I am going to be using this pen a lot as well. And but what I will do is I'll grease the threads on this, just so that I don't have any ink making its way around those threads, because you don't want that amount of ink coming out of a pen too quickly. Anything else I dislike about the pen? There really isn't anything. I just I like the design of the pen. I'm just a little bit worried on those threads that they might become damaged over time. but I really do like the pen. So I have to say again a thanks to Den for not only sending but giving me this pen. I will cherish this pen a lot, and I will use it a lot as well. Um, I'm still nervous about taking pens out that are eyedroppers, just in case that you have an ink catastrophe there. So I probably won't be taking this out, taking it to the office, chucking it in my rucksack, just in case. At least not yet. Maybe I'll come around to that over a period of time, and I will actually start taking eyedropper pens out with me. I take piston filling pens, I take power vac pens, mostly because you can shut the valves off on most of those, or they typically aren't going to leak a huge amount of ink. But with an eyedropper, I will grease those threads before I do so, I think. But it's a wonderful pen. So again, thanks to Den. I've put a link down here in the lower thirds to Den's website. Also a link in the description as well. So if you want to check out these new Fafnir pens, then do go and check Den's website out. These are really, really good pens. I have to say I'm actually quite impressed by the kind of designs that Den is coming up with. He really is pushing the boundary on a lot of his pens. So again, keep up the good work, Den. You're doing great work here, and I do like not only the shape and size of this pen, but also the resin colors that you've poured in this pen. It's a I want to call this the Hawaiian Punch pen because it really has a lot of tropical colors in the pen. So that's it. That's my review of Den's pens Fafnir. So thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.